Hey, good morning. It's Jen here with another episode of Moving Forward with Hope, Happiness, and Heart. Welcome. Happy Friday. If you're watching live, probably not yet since I just came on. Anyway, it is a beautiful day here in Las Vegas. Very sunny. It's been windy again, so I'm appreciating this sun and talking to you from my desert space here. I love it out here. It's really nice and peaceful. So today we're going to talk about your vision for the future. After today we only have 2 episodes left, so I thought about saving that, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about it today because it just is really in my mind. It's one of my key principles is to have a vision for the future. I have a program right now. It's called Extraordinary Life Blueprint. That's how I put it out in the past. And the very first thing is to come up with your vision for the future. And I have some tools and techniques to do that. Actually, any of the stuff that I've done was always about coming up with your vision first, because you need to really know not just a roadmap of how you're going to get where you want to be, but you need to have crystal clarity of where that is. I mean, you don't have to, but it definitely helps if you want to get somewhere in particular to know where that place is. So that's actually really the first step. I know we're kind of at the end of the series here, but that's one of the first steps. I think some people might be joining. Oh, sorry. That puts a shadow on my face. Yeah, it's hard to see the screen here. So welcome to those of you joining live. Happy Friday. We're talking about your vision for the future and how that's kind of the first step if you want to move forward, and how some different ways that we can get clarity on that, and some key points, how it's really some key points that are important to consider about your vision. So you might just have, like an idea of what you want for the future, what you want things to look like, or maybe you have no idea, because I've been in that place before where I'm like, I don't know what I want. I remember when I was I guess in my 20s, I would do like workshops at work, or some self-development stuff, or goal setting at work, and they would be like, what's your 1-year plan, and then what's your 5-year plan? I was like, I don't know, I'm like 22, I don't know what I want in 5 years. So I always thought like the 5-year plan was just so, I have no idea, because when you're younger, 5 years seems like a really long time, and it might not even matter what your age is. That sometimes does. But one of the vision tools I do is I actually look a little bit further out, 12 years into the future, which is sort of like, it's going to be a whole different part of your life, because I don't think we think about that enough. And it's also because Tony Robbins said this thing one time, that most people underestimate what they can achieve. They overestimate what they can achieve in 1 year. They underestimate what they can achieve in like a decade. So I thought, yeah, that's kind of expansive. So anyway, so my whole system is in 12s, so I do 12 years. And I've had people say, wow, that really puts me in a different frame of reference, because that's going to be like a whole different part of my life. If you're in your 20s, it'll be like in your 30s when maybe you're thinking about having kids. I mean, obviously it depends on what the situation is currently, but if you're in your 50s or 60s and you think about 12 years out, you're like, well, that's like retirement time, So it sort of puts you in a different phase. So you want to think like long term, like way far out, just kind of at least to have a vague idea of what it just gets you thinking about what you want that to be, and you can pull back to that path and look at your vision at different points in between there. So that's kind of a fun thing to think about, and it's kind of unique. A lot of people who do goal setting and visions don't really think that far ahead. So do that, you look real far ahead. And the other thing that I want to mention is to make sure that whatever your vision is, what you're envisioning for yourself, is aligned with who you are and your values and your characteristics, and that it's not some externally motivated vision. Usually, if you do this in a meditation or something like that, if you kind of just sit in the stillness and quietness, do some kind of a meditation to envision your future, then that kind of helps tap into your subconscious and what you really want. It could also be incorporating things, like shoulds and supposed to's, which I'm not a fan of. A lot of stuff might be coming in from your social conditioning. Even if you're meditating, it could still come in. So another piece is to use tools, which, my blueprint has that. But we're just kind of covering the highlights here. You want to use tools that help you really tap into who you are, that is outside of social conditioning, that's not being pressured by some external force, whether it's parents, family, spouses, just society in general, and that it's what you really want, and that it's going to be something that gets you super excited and juiced up for your life. Because if you're setting up your vision and your goals for your future based on what other people expect of you, like outside expectations, and it's not really in your heart, then you're doing everyone a disservice. And I know it can be really difficult to tap into that if you haven't done anything like that before. So I feel like I have this sort of innate talent to connect and relate to people at different phases. Like, I can remember what it felt like to be in a different space than what I am now. I can remember, especially if I focus on that, I can remember, when it wasn't so easy, when it was difficult. And not that everything's easy, just, when you become more comfortable with something, sometimes it's harder to relate to people who aren't. And, I really make an effort to connect with people at earlier stages, because I know that sometimes we could just be talking over, just outside of the realm of what someone thinks is possible. And so you think, how, I used to even ask myself, what does being yourself mean? People say be yourself. I don't know who myself is. I don't even know what that means. How do I know if I'm being myself or not? And that's kind of what I'm talking about here, is to make sure that you're being yourself when you create your vision and you set your goals, and you're not being like your parents or your aunts or your uncles or brothers or spouses or somebody else who has an input in it. It's really a subtle thing sometimes too, to know the difference, because if you haven't explored, it's going to be more challenging, but it can be done. So you just have to really use these tools to connect with yourself more. Things like there's different exercises that you can do. So I'll just give you a really quick one. I know some people might think it's kind of dark, but you can just do imagine your eulogy and what you want people to be saying about you. That's one thing. Also looking at role models, looking at people who you admire, how they are, how they're being. And then again, more meditation is good, praying, tapping into what you really want, and sort of just practice filtering out the external, and it'll start to come to you. So it's like a muscle, learning these things. The more you do it, the easier it gets. So maybe the first time you go to a gym and you're Trying to do maybe like squats or bicep curls or something like that, you can only do like a 1 pound weight, and then the next time after a couple weeks or something, you can do a 5 pound, or and you keep going up and up. It's the same thing with understanding yourself. The more you do it, the more you practice it, the easier it becomes, and the more you start to go, oh wow, yeah, I get that now. So just take tiny little steps and move forward and create your vision for the future, and make sure that it's really aligned with your heart and not social conditioning and external expectations. All right, so that is it for today. As always, let me know if you have any comments, questions, thoughts, if you need any coaching on any of this, if you want some feedback back, let me know, and I'll be happy to share that with you. I'm trying to see if anybody's sharing anything now. Doesn't look like it. All right. So happy Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. I will see you next week for the last 2 episodes on Monday and Tuesday. And take care. Much love.